Chapter 41, Don't Let the Old Man In, from the First Book of Christ for Atheists, available on YouTube, Facebook, Spotify, Instagram, or you can purchase it. That was all free, or you can purchase it from Amazon for $20. Writing in the dark shadows of the end of my life on earth, I reflect from an old man's perspective. Listen, my young grasshopper, as you too will be here someday, and will look back with either fond memories or regrets, or if you've lived your life with fulfillment, a little bit of both. I use my confession as a metaphor for those that come after me to continuously reflect and assess your behavior through life. Recently, I got into a car with Carol and asked Google to read messages. Google responded, "Oh, thank you, Ken, you are an angel." I turned to Carol with a smug smile and said, "Perhaps you should show me a bit more respect." She said that she shows me as much respect as I deserve. I said, "But you treat me with no respect." "Exactly," she said. Carol then went on to remind me about the time when I helped an old friend of mine. He was having to move into an assisted living and was worried about the women trying to clutch onto him even though he wasn't interested. His wife had passed, and being in his 80s, he didn't want to have some young sexious hippie gal trying to get him to do the papa. He had read that STDs have risen by 23% for people over 60 compared with 11% in the overall population. After his wife had passed, he had no desire to find another to replace her, and he was concerned about the pressure he may be under with this overly aggressive women at the home. Although some of my suggestions are better than others, I suggested to him that as much as there are ways of having people like you, there are also ways to get people not to like you. I consider myself a bit of an expert on this subject. When you get to the home, there will be a group of women, and they will try, and they will want to know about you. You fit into the introduction the fact that you were castrated in an unfortunate lawnmower accident. This will beg the question, what did happen? To this you will state that you don't know what happened, but you learned a valuable lesson. Never passed out in tall grass. He thought that was a great idea and thanked me. When I saw him later and asked him how it went, he said it went better than he expected, and in fact, no one will befriend him. Apparently, a castrated drunk is not someone that anyone wants to associate with. The nurses gave him the code for the Alzheimer's ward, so he will have someone to talk to. He goes there on a daily basis to reintroduce himself to new old friends and to tell them his new old stories. He said to me, "Gallagher, do me a favor. Don't do me any more favors." Carol then went on to remind me about the balaclava incident. Last winter, as I walked with a friend along the Sturgeon River, the wind became biting cold. I offered my friend an extra balaclava I had in my pocket that I had just washed. He took it, and as he put it on over his head, I noticed two openings by his ears and discovered that instead of taking my balaclava out of the dryer, I had taken a pair of Carol's panties, which were made of similar material. My friend told me that this story can only be repeated at his wake, but since then, we have both related it, as both have agreed that it is too priceless not to share. Then she said, "Shall I go on?" I said, No. I said, "You've made your point." It was Murphy that said, "No good deed goes unpunished." Murphy and I go back a long time, and I continue to resist his philosophy. Sometimes he is right, but not always. Carol and I continue to follow our path, following the doctrine of doing things for others. We do it because it is the right thing to do. I may stumble, as illustrated above, but even when I stumble, I am moving forward. This is as good a place as any to divulge the fact that in the past 3 months I have lost 22 pounds and have lost the ability to raise my right arm above my head. Although I have yet to be diagnosed, it would appear that I have a type of blood cancer. I have lived 75 years by taking care of my physical and mental health. It looks like I will rely on science and medicine to extend my life further. As my friend Jerry says, medicine doesn't save your life, it extends it. Since the first edition, I have been diagnosed with a terminal cancer of the blood. Looking at death is easier when you can reflect on your accomplishments, the ones you love, and the lifetime of experiences you have enjoyed. My wife, my children, my grandchildren provide me with the comfort of knowing that I have lived a blessed life, and the ones that I leave behind are my legacy. Carol and I will hold each other tight, knowing that there will be a time when we will no longer be able to do this. My playful pixie will be left alone. I asked Carol if she'd ever marry again after 53 years with me. She says, absolutely not. It must be tough to replace perfection, isn't it? It's not that. I just don't want to make the same mistake twice. Did I just get insulted? At least with faith, I can look forward to a life after death. If I died with no faith, what choice have I given myself? Please be good to yourselves and to those around you. When the time comes, you want to be at peace. God bless.